The topic of the night is Dr. Stratum, or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love the Clock. And the AI empowered synopsis that was far cleverer than I was, because I mean, after all, Tux's Doc Brown is hard to beat. Uh, time, we'll go through everything from how Linux keeps time, NTP, Crony, Stratums, uh, time zones, and the watch problem, and help you get your time in sync here without needing 1.21 gigawatts worth of power. So yeah, most people on the call should know me, but somehow I'm a scientific software scientist by day and a Linux nerd by night. I've been using Linux since 2003, and everything from Debian all the way through Gentoo. And yeah, it's just easier not to compile all your own stuff. And I don't know that Pentium 3 really got much boost out of it all, but here we are. Uh, so, why does time matter? Well, there's a whole bunch of reasons why. Security, if you have your clock out of whack, Kerberos or TLS or all that stuff is not going to work right.
Maybe as little as 5 minutes and your Kerberos sessions won't even work.
Yeah, 5 minutes in Kerberos hates you.
Yep.
For good reasons.
Yes.
Logging, trying to figure out when something happened in a log, when a user's yelling at you because it's not working. Well, if their time is out of whack and your time is out of whack, good luck.
Or also back to security, if you want to go reconstruct an event that happened, having all your systems stay at the same time also really helps.
Yes. Distributed systems really matter. What time something happened, and like keeping video stuff in sync and all of that stuff. Compliance, again, with your security comment. Uh, if you're going to hack a system, it's great if the logs don't actually line up.
Yeah,
which we'll talk about. That's one of the big concerns about NTP being not really all that encrypted at the moment.
Which box the hack can do first is often a very important question. If your time isn't synced, you might get that answer wrong.
Yeah. Or if you're doing any sort of software that requires licensing and has a license server.
Oh yeah, there's some stuff that gets really picky about its time.
Yes, it can be very bad, or you can do very bad things and use software way beyond when you're supposed to, if you're playing fast and loose with your clock. So yeah, time matters. Let's go through some just fundamental terms, long as we're talking about time. You've often heard of UTC, which, of course, sometimes you'll hear old people call it Greenwich Mean Time. It's the same time-ish, but they're two different concepts. And then you'll also hear TAI, which is the International Atomic Time. And what is the difference between UTC, which is sort of the civil time, or the time that we know and love here? Well, there are no leap seconds in atomic time. And it's just the average of the 450 plus atomic clocks around the world, all agreeing what time it is.
Is the TAA reason making sense because it's French, or because French and the English couldn't figure out an acronym that just made it so nobody's happy like UTC?
It's French, I'm pretty sure.
Okay. I know UTC is, why is it UTC? Because nobody's happy that way.
Yeah. So, yeah, the big thing here is that
UTC actually started in England at Greenwich as part of a major thing for shipping and navigation.
Yes. So UTC is civil time. Basically, it's kept in sync with UT1, which is the astronomical time. The big difference between it and Greenwich time is that Greenwich is actually Greenwich Mean Time is set off of the solar day, which means that it's all kinds of
Messed up.
wishy-washy based on the spin of the Earth and etc., where UTC is based off of TAI with and it's kept in sync with astronomical time, uh, plus or minus 9 tenths of a second. Because once it drifts beyond that, then they declare that we need to have a leap second. And that can be plus or minus. We haven't had minus yet, and I have it on good authority that we shouldn't for at least the next 4 years. Beyond that, it gets a little more fuzzy and more likely to happen.
I get a negative leap second. That sounds like a whole.
It's bad.
Yeah, that sounds like a bad day.
You thought daylight savings time was bad.
You thought normal leap seconds were bad.
And so the reason that leap seconds are painful is part of the reason why in 2035 there's a proposal to get rid of leap seconds and just let the time, astronomical time, and UTC decouple itself until it gets so out of whack that somebody will actually have to start caring again.
Wasn't it like Google? They just they smeared the leap second over a day.
Yep.
Like,
Yeah, that's one of the ways that you can handle leap seconds is to smear it. Uh, it can be, depending on how you're doing it, that now means that all of your systems are now out of sync with the actual time for a day, and it gets really weird. But yeah, we'll talk about that. So as a result of the fact that atomic time doesn't have leap seconds, UTC and TAI are decoupled by 30 seconds at the moment. And so uh, you just have that weirdness there. So yeah, the fact that this is sort of the graph of how time has been shifting by as the Earth speeds up or slows down. And part of that is based on what season it is, where the ice is. It's like the um, figure skater putting their arms out, pulling them in, etc. So that's the sort of trend that we've been seeing uh, is why they don't need to have that leap second anytime soon. But we'll see what happens. So then the next thing to talk about, as long as we're talking about terms, stratums. What are stratums? It's basically a hierarchy of how trustworthy is your network clock. Up at the top, stratum 0, you're never going to connect to. It's the GPS or your atomic clock. It is the source of ground truth of everything. Uh, And so that connects to a Stratum 1 clock, which has a network plug, and it is the thing that's serving out time. I actually do have a Stratum 1 clock under my desk at home. It's a GPS set, and it has a pulse in it that regulates the time coming from the GPS system, and it is the finest grade of Chinesium. We'll see a picture of it here in a minute. But yeah, so, but I mean, in theory, you don't want the unwashed masses connecting to your Stratum 1 clock. It's supposed to be just a pure sense of time throwing itself out to the world. And Stratum 2 is for us underlings to connect to. It's usually pretty well handled. But yeah, we'll dive into that here in a minute. And then, of course, how many sources of time is enough? Is my 1 clock enough? Can I trust that it's right? I don't know. There's the principle called Seagal's law. A man with a watch knows what time it is. A man with 2 watches is never sure. So really, you want to have at least 3 sources of time to be truly, because what happens if the 2 watches disagree with each other? Well, I don't know which one's right. If you're close with 2 of the sources and one of them's disagreeing, well, that one's kicked off the island. We can work with that. And they always say this is Seagal's law. Well, he's not the guy who actually said it. It was, yeah, it was coined by the San Diego Union paper in 1930 with a article that said, no, I'll get to that in a second here, Will. Confusion. Retail jewelers assert that every man should carry two watches, but a man with one watch knows what time it is, and a man with two watches could never be sure. Later, this was attributed to Lee Segal of the radio station KIXL, and then was misquoted again by Arthur Bosch as Segal's law. So it's a misquote of a mistake that has nothing to do with him. So yeah, but and definitely is not Steven Seagal, even though he could probably kick that time into gear here. Uh, so if you do need more accuracy than just NTP, because there is network delay and all sorts of stuff, there is the idea of precision time protocol, and it's an IEEE standard. And basically, you have multiple time clocks that are all talking to each other, and they'll adjust and sync their time based on the delay between the request going out and all that stuff. And that can get you down into the sub microsecond accuracy when time really, really matters. And this allows for like hardware time stamping, and there's multicast support and stuff like that. Our good friends at the nation's time clocks are using this to regulate their Stratum 1 as their Stratum 1 time source, essentially.
Don't they also use this, if I remember correctly?
Yeah, I believe so.
Audio stuff also
Yes.
uses this.
Oh, yeah, yeah. If time matters, this is what you want. It's also total overkill for most everything that I'd be wanting to do. But I mention it just because it's useful for industrial, telecom, financial trading stuff, or if, like power monitoring or stuff like that. Because if your power system, the grid is off sync, very bad things happen, and it gets
Even mildly
expensive.
off sync.
It gets very expensive very fast, and it makes expensive noises. So the other big thing that we're going to talk time about here is NTS, which is the secure time extension of NTP, and it's with some hand waving here. It's SSL based, so it's encryption, and really before this, there was sort of a way that you could encrypt it, but it really wasn't extensible and didn't really work all that well in masses. So pretty much everybody uh, just used unencrypted NTP, and just sort of we plugged our ears and pretended that it wasn't a concern, because for years it wasn't. Well, now very nice threat actors are doing very bad things in the world, and China. Yeah, Cloudflare already has a source that you can hit. Time.cloudflare.com is NTS enabled. So if you have Crony, you can get secured time from them. And
Also, the pools might offer it too.
I'm not sure about the pools. I know that it is coming to a NIST or time.gov server near you very soon.
However, if you're in the government, you might not be able to use it because I believe at least the current implementation, or at least in the latest version of RHEL, is not PIPS compatible. Because of reasons.
Okay, great.
Remember, PIPS is compliant, not secure. There's a difference between the two.
Yeah, someone should actually tell NIST, because they're actually using it. But yeah, so anyway, I don't want to even know about the paperwork that goes behind that. But
You don't want to know what PIPS compliant paper looks like. It's all sadness.
yeah, so anyway, time sources. As we've been hinting at, there are multiple different ways to get your time. You can hit public sources. You can have private ones, like either at your ISP or in your data center, or if you're a nerd like me and spent $50 pre-tariff time to buy this fancy little piece of Chinesium, you can have a Stratum 1 clock sitting right under your desk, set off of all of the global navigation servers and stuff like that. And yeah, it's probably mostly trustworthy and probably doesn't have any big security flaws in it. Maybe.
Probably, maybe don't give it internet. Maybe don't give it access to the internet.
Yeah. But there are plenty of public sources that you can hit, like NIST or Time.gov has a whole bunch of them, and they're solid. I love them, use them. Our tax dollars pay for them, so why not?
I use Time.gov on many of my boxes.
Yep.
Like if I'm doubting my box's time, I'll know when listening to Time.gov just to go fix it. It's also the pool.
Oh, yeah. So I'll show you my config here in a minute, but I actually use a diversity of sources, as one should. So I do have Time.gov's round robin server.
All the way down in the middle, right above the Colorado ones.
Yep. But yeah, so the time.nist just will get you to the nearest or robinest folks. So that's the source that I do, and I let them load balance their own stuff because I don't even want to think about what their traffic looks like.
Probably a decent amount.
Yeah.
Even like every operating system, like Windows, you can just go say, "Hey, I want to go to this server."
Yep. So anyway, though. Uh, uh, So yeah, and then the other one that we mentioned was the pool, which is just a bunch of very nice people who have volunteered to have time servers around the world and provide them. So depending on where you're at, you'll see a lot of vendors will have their name dot zero dot ntppool.org or
Well, other than
etc.
that,
Yeah, yeah. Sorry, flip that. But since we aren't a vendor, and that's mostly so if they're doing something really bad, they can get blocked so that they're not stepping on top of stuff.
So if you are creating a device and selling to consumers, you should go talk to the NTP code and get your own name.
Yes, but since we're not creating our own devices, I'm just my own friendly little happy guy. I can go ahead and grab just this stack of 3 servers, and it will round robin get me to ones at work that are in North America. Or if I care and I live in Jamaica, I can totally have my own 4 servers that are lonely and running there in Jamaica providing time.
Please check your local site policy to see if this is allowed. Certain government agencies get a little squeamish when you say, "Hey, go find a global network of clocks."
Yes. Again, yeah. But as long as we stay in the US, it's probably okay, maybe,
Maybe.
but probably not. So, anyway, though, but for my personal use, it's awesome. So, then also local, like me, I've got my own local server. So, it's just a question of where to get your time. And the answer, for me at least, is yes. All of the above. So, this is what my local time source looks like when you pop into its website. And as you can see, I've been up for 54 days. I've never found where I can get a updated version of firmware for this thing. So yeah, exposing it to the internet is a great thing.
Yeah, don't do that.
Yeah. But the cool thing is that it will go out and hit all of the different global navigation systems. So us, the Russians, the Chinese, Galileo, everybody.
Yeah, everybody.
Yeah. So that helps it gets its time faster, etc.
So
In startup.
it's doing averaging, or like what's the algorithm it's doing? Like,
So I think it must be averaging, or at least getting a consensus of some sort.
isn't the antenna that you have to set it outside, or is it?
The antenna is actually good enough that on my second floor, just sitting on the floor, it's good enough. So it's wood building.
I know, like the proper way is you go to get like a proper like GPS dome antenna and go put it outside your building is the
Yeah,
correct way.
if it was going to be too bad, I was just gonna stick it out my window and just let it dangle. But good enough, so I'm not worried. And so, of course, the question comes, well, how do we keep time in Linux? Well, there's 14 different standards. We need one that covers everybody's use case. Well, in this case, we're talking programs, not standards. Uh, we've got the first one, which is the most simplest of them all, System D Timesync D, which is a SNTPD, which is a simple client, and it's been the default for years on, or at least for several years on Debian, Ubuntu, and Arch. That is rapidly changing. Ubuntu, when they release the latest flavor, will no longer be using that. They'll be using Crony by default. So we'll talk about that here in just a second. But it is a client only. It is very lightweight. It is able to do auto fallback, where basically you have a list of like 4 or 5 different NTP servers that are providing time. It starts with the first one. If it gets a time source from that, great. It stops asking anyone else. But if that one fails, it will jump over to the next one or the next one or the next one. So that one time source that you have, you better trust it pretty good, because it's going to be your only source of time, which for like a laptop or something, that's fine, whatever. Uh, it is network aware, so if you're like on that laptop and you're wandering around and the network drops on and off, it handles it fairly gracefully. It can do boot time correction, and really, for the most part, the thought process on it is it's good enough. But it is problematic, especially if you're using a containerization or something that doesn't have NTP. You kind of need NTP for it, or sorry, System D. Uh, if you don't have System D, you're going to have a bad time, which is part of the reason why Ubuntu is moving away from it, because they don't want to have to drag System D along with themselves for super small, lightweight things. For use in Debian, it depends on if you're talking about the lowest level slim sort of rollout. It's what's being used. But if you're talking about server deployments, it's still using NTP-D.
I just checked on my door box. It is cooked.
Yep. Fedora and all of the Red Hat environment is using Crony now.
There is this would be time technically still sitting there turned off if you want it.
Yes, so it is aware, and if you do have something else running, it will gracefully get out of the way. Then there's the old granddaddy of them all, NTPD. Uh, in 1985 was when Dr. David Mills first thought of the protocol. It's still in use, and yes, there's been a couple of version changes, but it's not that different. In the era of 1990 to 2000, NTPD was the standard. From about 2010 on, there's been a gradual shift towards Crony, just because, for various reasons. Some of them we already covered. NTPD is still maintained and alive, but much like Xorg, it's
Doesn't the ISC some consortium involvement too? Like
yeah, it's glacial,
yeah, it's a very weird project.
and it is very legacy and very enterprisey. Uh, most systems are going to Crony or Timesync D, uh, and part of the reasons why is, especially if you're running on something that's a laptop or Power Matters, NTPD has a very tight loop in it, and that's how it's keeping track of its time. So any sort of virtualization, you're going to have a bad time, because when you virtualize stuff, time doesn't run in straight lines all the time.
Yeah, your deal gets done a lot. Time again.
They've had some stuff. It has some nice stuff in there, like it's able to take in multiple time sources and balance them and pick which one it should trust. It's able to do clock discipline to check and see, is your local physical time source drifting? Okay, how can we adjust it to keep it right? It does have symmetric key authentication in it. And there have been some security enhancements like AutoKey for authentication were added in, but they have vulnerabilities, so don't use them. and it does now have IPv6 and multicast support. So you can just shout to the world and ether and your local network, hey, this is the time, and anything that's listening can go ahead and synchronize with it. Uh, I do have, it does handle broadcast support as well. So my time source is actually broadcasting out to the network. Only problem is Crony doesn't actually understand that. So yeah, which is good and bad. But I'll show in a minute how, because I'd forgotten what IP address I'd set that for. So I was able to just listen to my network and find it because it was shouting to the world every second.
Or you could send in your DHCP server, and then your DHCP server could tell you where it is.
Yes, but hey, that's hard work. So yeah, the Crony, part of the reason is because it's NTPD is slow to synchronize on boot. It really doesn't like to be suspended or restarted or the network to drop off or anything like that. It is just exactly as you'd expect a 1990s config file to look like.
1990s is being generous. Sometimes.
Yes, and it is very complex. And everybody like Red Hat, Fedora, Ubuntu, Debian are starting to move away.
And they have been for decades, probably for almost 2 decades.
Yeah, and yeah, but it is still the reference of how to do time.
And guess what? Even though Connie's still playing, when I'm looking for time configurations, I've got rules in my project that still say, look at both, figure out which one they're using, and then go check it.
Yeah.
Because there's a bunch of legacy systems that have been upgraded through time that still use it.
Yep. So as you can see, here's the output of a NTP server or system where we're looking, and it's chosen the local org time, and there's several others that are figuring in that it's listening to, and etc. And so as you can see, it can look and keep track of a whole bunch of different sources. Crony, fast and accurate. It is the new kid on the block. Everybody loves it. It can handle, if your network drops off, it will actually keep your time regulated and in sync. It's power efficient because it doesn't have that super tight loop in it. It handles security, so NTP or NTS is supported by default out of the box. It's flexible, and it has some cool monitoring tools. And we'll actually play with it here in a minute. But as you can see, we can just do a system control restart cron D, and you get all of the stats. Or if you ask cron C tracking, you'll get all the stats of how far off you are, and etc. As you can see, I'm really close to being synchronized because it was one hop from me to a Stratum 1 clock. So let's just go ahead and pop open terminal and play with my time settings a bit here. First thing first, we can take a look at my configs. And the big stuff here, you've got a log directory, logs matter. We'll start at the top. Just like everything else, there's additional folders and config files. Yeah, you can drop in and do cool stuff. So as you can see, here is my time, 10:02. Surprise, one above one. And as you can see, I say this is a server. The rest of mine I'm saying are pools. iBurst just means that at startup, when it first asks for time, it will hit it a lot faster and harder, so it will get time faster. Check your server's policies on that. If you abuse it too much, you can get banned.
Also, check your local list policy that you may actually have to measure clocks every X hours as well.
Yes. Yeah, but if you're in one of those things, you probably have people that know a lot more about time than you do, and you should probably trust them.
Yeah, like also certain compliance standards, like government ones, say yes, you must think every 24 hours maximum you have to check in. I think
Yep.
usually that's 18 is what we could determine
Yeah.
for customers just to make sure that by hour 24 they have sync their clocks.
Yep. But so what you have here is if it's a pool where it's just a round robin of servers, you can say max sources. I want 2 sources of time from NIST Gov. I want 4 sources from Ubuntu, and then I want 1 source from the Ubuntu pools there. Except for I don't know why 2 on that last one. Whatever.
Dealer's choice, whatever you want.
Yeah. So anyway, though, here's your crony keys that keep the authentication stuff. Dive into NTS. It's really cool, but there's not nearly enough time to go through all of that tonight. Drift will actually keep track of how much drift your clock has and keep it all in for how well your stuff is. It's how it's tracking all the different stuff.
Will this notice if, like, if you're locked up in sleep and when it's asleep, you hold it worse at traffic count that's on? Or like,
Yeah.
that'll help with that?
Yep. Yeah. But it's as soon as it comes back up, it will be smart about it.
Okay.
And so it's very efficient about that stuff. It will stop if you have too much skew of time. It will just do one big update versus trying to smear itself slowly into time. Um, it can handle RTC, server time sources, etc. And then it also handles when leap seconds should happen, and it's going to do it via UTC. So at the time that the whole world agrees on it versus your local time.
So you'll experience that 00 2960 UTC.
Yeah, 61, yeah.
60.
Your
No.
leap second will happen, so at 60,
Well, it goes to 6D because
Yeah.
0 to 659 is 60.
yes, okay, yeah, you're correct, sorry. But yeah, so if we look at, let's go for my Crony C sources, you can see that my local one that's on my home network is not responding. Darn. And the one that actually ended up winning is a Lightspeed. So I'm assuming that's CenturyLink maybe, or
No, I think Lightspeed's some other like backbone tier 1 ISP.
yeah. So as you can see, we're roughly uh, under 1 microsecond off of time. So that's okay. Well, we can deal with that.
That's usable for most things.
Yeah. So the other thing that we can look at here is Crony C activity. We've got 11 sources online, and it's running okay. So looking at the stuff as you saw in that status update, as you can see, I have really good time locally. And if you see that caret star, that means the one that's currently the master clock. Question marks, it's not responding currently, so most of my heartburn there was around IPv6 because, yeah, my ISP is that up to date that they don't have IPv6 yet. Yay.
They were founded after it was finalized, but yet they still don't have it.
Yes. And then the dash is, those are online responding but not selected to be the master. Crony does not handle broadcast NTP, so which is okay. You could do multicasting, but my hardware doesn't support it on that little piece of Chinesium, so cool. I forgot what IP address I was using, so how can we handle that? Well, I used TCP dump on port 123 and just listened until I saw my time server pop up. As you can see right here, 10.0.2 is my time source, and it was like, oh yeah, that's right, I did set it for that. So, and you can also see some of the other servers are reporting in too. So, I was tracking all of the traffic, but that's okay. So, again, as I said, there's nothing encrypted here, which is bad because anyone can man in the middle of this. Crony versus NTP, as we sort of already covered. The big callouts is Crony by default has NTS, NTPD doesn't, and it handles well in laptops where NTPD really doesn't like anything where it's not just a heavy piece of iron that's sitting there spinning and keeping itself
Because
happy.
it wants to count the seconds.
Yeah, it wants to count both seconds and cycles,
Yes.
and it really, really doesn't like to have that interrupted. So let's talk time zones a little bit. Uh, Time date CTL status will give you what your time zone currently is. So let's just go ahead and jump into that, make this a little bigger so those in the back can actually see. And here you can see I'm using Chicago time as God will intended.
This part of the country.
Yep. And other things that we can look at here is the fact that if we ls local time, you can see that it's just a pointer to America, Chicago.
Which is in my opinion, the only correct way to actually define time zone is
Yes.
that way.
So if we want to look and see what are all the time zones in the world, there are a bunch of them out there. And some of them may or may not actually be still real or anything like that.
Also, the U.S. files are legacy zones that may or may not break at some point.
Yeah. So the other thing that we can look at here is if you want to look at the time zone file itself, there's a lot of really fun stuff in there, including every time that time has shifted and what offset should happen. So if we take a look at, like, say, instead of head 10, let's just up it a few times. Here you can see it has all of the theoretical time zone shifts that will happen out till a long time from now.
This is all from the wonderful Easy Data project.
And there is stuff changing all the time. So that is a very nice leeway into of course, obligatory Doctor Who quote that people assume that time is a strict progression of cause to effect, but actually, from a nonlinear, non-subjective viewpoint, it's more like a big ball of wibbly-wobbly, timey-wimey stuff.
Yep.
Time zones are hard. They really are. In theory, a day is always 24 hours, right? No, it's 23, 24, 25 hours, just depending.
Yeah, depends.
February always has 28 days. No, that's easy. There's always leap years, and historically things get weird.
Yep.
Time zone UTC offset should be from -12 to +12, right?
Isn't it like a -14 because of
Yep.
reasons?
Yeah, Kabali will cover them here in a minute because they're special. Time zones, there's one time zone offset, one time zone to handle that. Nope. It just depends on, they can share the same offset but have different rules in history because reasons. When daylight savings time happens or what days they just sort of ignored and skipped over.
Because I believe even in our lifetime,
Yes.
DST has changed to when it happens.
Thank you, George Bush II.
Yes. Yep.
But yeah, time zones never change. As we were hinting, yes, they do.
And also sometimes they change so fast that the TZ data database can't get updated fast enough. There's been scenarios like the day before, DST comes into effect, the president of some small little country goes, "Not this time."
Yep, there have been sometimes that it's been hours difference.
And then you run into all the weird regional stuff. It threw me off so much when I went to DEF CON that Arizona does not observe DST So at the time that I
Yep.
was there, they were in the same time zone as Vegas, even though they're in different time zones.
Yep.
But there's something even worse because some of the Indian reservations do. So if you drive a certain line across Arizona, you're gonna be flipping your clock like 10 times.
Yeah. Daylight, that brings up the rule of daylight savings time. Rules are consistent. No, they aren't.
Also, I don't know if you covered this one. DST also offset spinning whole numbers is also a total farce.
Yes, that's coming up here. China has one time zone. Russia has 11. And they'll vary with little notice wildly. Uh, India has, well, yes and no. India has one time zone, but they also have local times too.
They do, but also the main India time zone is one of those time zones that's off by half hour of UTC. However, that's not the worst. I believe there's one that's off by 15 minutes.
Yeah, we'll talk about Bombay time.
Okay.
Leap seconds are announced 6 months ahead. We don't know when they're going to happen until then. And we may or may not get rid of them in the 2030s. We don't know yet. They're still fighting. Sometimes there's 30 or 45-minute offsets.
Or 15.
Or 15, or historically 5. This is the hard edition. Some minutes have 61 seconds. Leap second smearing, we've already covered. There's the 32-bit time overflow for time T that's going to be coming here.
Will was thinking the same thing I was saying. We should just figure out the 2038. That should be when we get rid of leap seconds.
Yep.
And that would work, or we just go to 64-bit epochs and kick that can down the road a couple hundred years.
We'll all be at the ground by then, and it'll be fine.
Yeah, it's someone else's problem. That's future us problem.
If the ground still exists.
Yeah, if man is still alive. Excel treats 1900 as a leap year, even though it is not, because of Lotus 123 compatibility.
That wonderful product.
Yeah, they got it wrong. So in order to be compatible with them, Excel gets it wrong. 1900 is not a leap year.
No, I recognize that. I'm trying. What's the thing you said? Lotus?
Lotus 123.
Does that still exist?
No.
But Lotus Notes does.
But because of historic reasons, Excel is compatible, and they can't change it now because everybody trusts that they're still compatible.
And everybody trusts the files that were made.
Microsoft, known for breaking compatibility with everything. And
you say that, but go get an exe from XP and it still runs. Go get a Windows, or go get a Linux Elf from that time. That Elf is probably not going to run.
Yeah.
It's both.
You can't run 16-bit files on 64-bit computers.
But if you have a 32-bit binary from the XP era, it'll still run. But if you have a 30-bit Elf from that same era trying to run your modern system,
it's not gonna
it's not gonna go well.
And you could run 16-bit binaries at least through Windows 7.
Yeah.
But only on 32-bit OSs. You can't do it on 64-bit OSs.
Yeah, and anyway, though, negative leap seconds are a thing.
We haven't experienced them yet. Hopefully, we never will.
Yes.
Keep compatible.
Yes.
Yeah. So, so if you have a timestamp that has 2400 in it, that is technically valid.
It is.
ISO 8601, but it is often rejected by the parsers, so even they get it wrong.
What? Is it just 2400 or is the whole 24 through 59?
No, I think just 2400.
It's mainly to better express that when you say at midnight on a day, you mean at the end of the day.
You don't have to say the second date. Basically.
Right.
Yeah.
You can just express the range. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, that makes sense.
And then historically, Bombay time is weird because its historic offset was UTC plus 4 hours and 51 minutes. I
I felt like that was designed specifically for like, hey, does your time calculator work?
Yeah, but it's in the time zone file, so you can look it up.
Is there also the one where days have disappeared, and even recently days have disappeared?
Yes, so yeah, that's a whole nother. I think I skipped over those just because that was even harder time because there are certain days that just never happened.
There's also like, what's it like when we switched over to the Gregorian calendar?
Yep.
There's like an entire
Like
like
11 days.
yeah, 11 days that just got deleted.
Yeah.
Well-
Yeah, time is weird and hard, and you're going to get it wrong.
Well,
But
and this is why I get so frustrated when people say it's 5 o'clock somewhere, because like, no, unless it's at a 00 or a 30 or a what would be the opposite of 51, a 09,
yeah,
and specifically if it's a 09 of whatever that specific hour would be, it's not 5 o'clock somewhere.
and to be fair, Bombay time is no longer a valid time. It's historic.
Oh, okay.
But and then there's the UTC 12, which is negative 12, which no one actually lives in because of that little shenanigans that we just had mentioned a little bit ago. It is there are no permanent residents, so especially on a lot of graphical interfaces, there just isn't a time zone for that in the dropdown.
But it's surprisingly a deadline for a lot of things.
Yeah, so it is supported. It's in ETC GMT plus 12 is the time zone file for it. And you'll also see it used for a lot of edge test casing, or if you want to have, it's often called the latest on Earth. Okay, so remember, this is the latest on Earth value. And this is really just a good edge case test to make sure that you're handling all the possible time zones. And as was hinted, it's a good case for if you want the last possible time zone to be doing registration. Although technically that's not entirely true due to our next case here, which is UTC plus 14, and that's the Kabali Islands. There's 33 atolls over 3.5 million square kilometers in the Pacific. Technically, it's 26 hours ahead of UTC, and basically they were straddling the time zone, the international date line previously, and it caused a lot of problems. So if you had a government office on one side of the line and a government office on the other side of the line, you ended up losing multiple days worth of possible collaboration time due to it being the weekend for one side or the other. And plus, my understanding is they wanted to trade with the Australians, so they just sort of pushed their whole time zone ahead into the future and dropped a day while they were doing it. So again, time is nonlinear, timey-wimey. And this is the point where we covered questions. Unfortunately, due to the fact that Jitsi had died on us, those were not captured, but feel free to reach out to me with any questions or comments or anything like that. Thank you.